So a couple weeks ago, I did a video on some exciting announcements from Sonos. They announced the Sonos Ray soundbar, and they announced some new colors for the Sonos Roam, which is their portable speaker. During those announcements, they also mentioned what's called Sonos Voice Control, which some people are now calling the Sonos Voice Assistant. But when I made that video on those announcements, I talked about how I probably wouldn't use a Sonos Voice Assistant because I'm a Siri guy. But guess what? Sonos Voice Control came out on June 1st, and who was up at 4 a.m. to download it to try it? This guy. I couldn't help myself. So I've tried it for a couple days now. Have I changed my mind? Let's find out. What up, everybody? It's George Langabeer with SilverHammer Surveillance. Here on the channel, we talk smart home tech and home security. We have videos every Tuesday. Smash the like button, subscribe. Keep coming back for more. We appreciate your support. So what are we talking about today? We're talking about Sonos Voice Control, now known as the Sonos Voice Assistant. What is it? What's it all about? Is it cool? Not? Let's get into it. Okay, Sonos Voice Control, otherwise known as the Sonos Voice Assistant, it was available as of June 1st in the United States. It's not available everywhere, but it is coming soon to most countries. You just got to check back with Sonos for availability. This is just an update to your speakers. Any speaker with a microphone, which could be the Sonos Roam, the Sonos Move, the Sonos Beam, Sonos Arc, and the Sonos One. So if you've got a speaker with a microphone, you can get this update. You don't have to do it, it is optional. So if you're not a voice assistant person, that's fine. But all you have to do is go to that app and update your speaker. So previously you had the Google Assistant and Alexa as assistant options in Sonos, and now you're adding Sonos Voice Control. Now you can't use it in conjunction with Google Assistant, but you can use it in conjunction with Alexa. So you can actually have Alexa for all your requests. And we're gonna kind of talk about this in a second because this is more about music, but then you can use Sonos's music, or you can just have the Sonos Voice Control, or just no assistant at all. So what can Sonos Voice Control do? Is it truly the Sonos Voice Assistant? When I think of voice assistant, I think of Alexa, Google Assistant, and Siri. Can this do what they can do? No. You're not gonna get all those special requests. You're just gonna get music, at least for now. So you can request an artist, you can request a song, you can request an album, a genre, you can play, pause, skip tracks, you can resume, you can turn up the volume, you can turn down the volume. Just like the Sonos app, you can move music from one room to the other. You can group speakers, just like you can in the Sonos app. So it's everything about music, and it's great for music. But it just doesn't do special requests. So oddly enough, you can tell the time, so you can ask at the time, but you can't do weather, you can't do timers, you can't do alarms, nothing like that. So the sky's the limit as far as the future goes, because Sonos does update regularly. If you're a Sonos user, you know this. So the sky's the limit on this thing, and they could add all this in the future, we just don't know yet. But for right now, it's all about music. So for me personally, I'm using my HomePod minis for all those special requests, and I am using this for music. So spoiler alert to my earlier question, am I using it? Yes, I am, because I really like it for music. Sonos in general, you know, HomePod minis are great, but they're not the greatest speakers in the world. And it's awesome that they'll pair to your TV, but they're not surround sound speakers, let's be honest. So until Apple comes out with a soundbar or a new improved HomePod, I like Sonos, and this has been great as far as music goes. As far as music services, it does work with most of Sonos compatible music services like Apple Music. It does not work with Spotify at the moment or YouTube Music, but I do think that's coming. But all their other services, it's pretty much a go. So one of my favorite parts of Sonos Voice Control is the voice itself. Giancarlo Esposito, better known as Gus Fring from Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul. He was on The Mandalorian. But come on, Gus Fring had one of the most memorable death scenes in TV history, right, Teresa?
Yeah, it was pretty darn crazy.
Pretty darn crazy and pretty darn memorable. But he's just got such a cool voice, and it's so smooth. And so I love the fact that it's all him. And it really sounds like conversational. It doesn't sound robotic or anything like that. They did a really good job with him. Unfortunately, you don't get to hear him too often because for general requests, you don't get the voice feedback. But if you ask him what song is playing or various things, you do get his feedback. And what's really cool, like Apple Music, I have, you know, my personalized radio station. So when I ask him what song's playing on that station, he actually says my name. Hey Sonos, what song is this?
This is The Captain of Her Heart by Double from the station George Langabeer station on Apple Music.
So it's pretty cool to have Gus Fring, major drug dealer kingpin, say George Langabeer. Anyway, I really like that part of it. In addition to having a great voice, another wonderful thing about Sonos Voice Control is the privacy. Every request, every conversation is all local on whatever speaker you're talking to. It doesn't go to the cloud. No one's recording your conversation. I mean, even Apple got busted recording conversations with nobody knowing. You know, they've kind of locked down on that, but come on, that was still a problem. Google, Alexa, forget about it. They're listening to us right now. I don't even have an Alexa device and somehow they're listening to us. But everything is private and I love that. So if you're worried about privacy, if that's one of the reasons you don't use a voice assistant, not a problem with Sonos, which is very cool. And I will say, because it's all local on the device, it's very fast to respond. Like, you know, you ask Siri a question on a HomePod and sometimes you get working on that. Well, that's not the case with Sonos. It's quick. So when you ask for a song, it's like instantaneous. So that's great. So, and that's because it's locally on the speaker. It doesn't have to bounce everywhere. So that's pretty cool. So to summarize my likes, I love how quick it is. It's just lightning fast when you ask for a request. I love that it's Giancarlo, Esposito. Hey Sonos, what's playing?
This is You Really Got Me Young Community Remix instrumental version by Duplex Heartfeet Young Community from the playlist Epidemic Sound on Apple Music.
Come on, there's no better voice to narrate your music, especially if you're a jazz fan. He's got like the jazziest voice in the history of man. So yeah, it's great to have him narrate your music. Big like there. The privacy, the fact that it's local, it's not going to the cloud, you know you're good, you know no one's recording your conversations. Those are 3 big likes right there. Before I move on to my one dislike, let me give you a little cautionary tale. Be very specific when you're talking to Giancarlo or Gus Fring. Gus Fring would be very specific and detailed and eloquent. So just know what you're asking for. And this is specifically when you're asking what speaker to play it on. Whatever you've named the speaker, whether you did it in a HomeKit or the Sonos app or wherever you named it, just make sure you say that specific speaker, because it's not like Google Assistant and Apple where you can just say a room. So if you say the living room, no, it's not going to work unless you say which living room speaker, whatever you named it. So that's a cautionary tale there. As far as my one dislike, it's all about those lack of assistant features and those requests. I miss a timer, I miss the weather. So you can use it in conjunction with Alexa, and Sonos speakers are AirPlay 2 speakers, so you can still use it with Siri. And you can use Google Assistant on its own, but you cannot have Sonos voice control with Google Assistant, but you can with Alexa. And then Siri with AirPlay 2 is kind of separate on its own, but that's a whole different story. So I miss those requests. I miss timers, I miss alarms, I miss asking general questions, I miss controlling the smart home, but I do have my HomePod minis here. But that's one thing, this goes to my likes. Sonos, I mean, you can just have speakers all over the place. HomePod minis, you're kind of at the limit of 6. And even Apple will tell you that. If you have more than 6 HomePod minis, they're not going to work. But Sonos, you can have them everywhere. So I love that. And that's why I'm using this for music. And I just have some HomePod minis strategically placed for those other requests. But let's hope it's fixed in future software updates and we get more requests. So that's it in a nutshell. What do you think? Are you already using it? Are you thinking about using it? Are you on the fence? Let me know. But if you do want to use it and you haven't already and you're a Sonos lover, just go to the Sonos app and update. And again, you can do it speaker by speaker. You can opt into which speaker you want. You don't have to do it on all of them. It just has to be one of those speakers with a microphone. So I'd love to hear your feedback. Hopefully you liked this video. Smash the like button if you did. Subscribe to the channel. Videos every Tuesday. Very much appreciate having you here. Until the next one, peace and love.